Hello. In the course of the previous year, I've become a kind of, tea head, a tea snob, an infusion junkie, a kettle whisperer, a teapot troubadour, a loose leaf lunatic, a steeping savant, a tea nut, a tea fiend. And these are the current spoils of my obsession, a cast of hundreds, where every sample, even if not always wowing me, which is why we should always sample before we splurge, is a star, as well as a beloved tea sister of sorts. And currently, perhaps, also, my greatest and most tangible, sensual and immersive everyday ecstasy. Simply put, I have fallen in love with whole leaf Chinese teas, white, black, green, oolong, those funky and enigmatic pu'ers, both ripe and raw, and maybe, just maybe, they too, you too, have fallen in love just a little bit with me. For we have had our dalliances over the years, but for some reason, Sister Tea has now settled into my life as an unshakable constant, an everyday muse, a ritual companion, this slow-burning, ever-expanding love affair that seems to deepen with every sip. Sister Tea is how I address her, often aloud, for we are in conversation throughout the day. I don't have a sister. I have a younger brother who, like a glass of dry sherry or some of my now untouched and unbrewed tea bags, is for the most part reserved, aloof, and not especially forthcoming. So I have always yearned for a sister who might possess some of those yin-like, anima-infused feminine qualities of gentleness, compassion, mystery, and grace. Those nurturing and loving, soulful vibes, which this idiot also has to some extent, being more yin than yang, more anima than animus. Traditional Chinese tea preparation is known as gong fu cha, kung fu cha, cha being tea and gong fu, kung fu, translating into something like skill or effort, the art or mastery of a particular aesthetic or contemplative domain achieved through patience, discipline, and practice. Making and drinking tea is perhaps the most delightful and peaceful kung fu that we human idiots possess. Simply put, I freaking love whole leaf gong fu style tea and everything pertaining to it. And sometimes when I reflect on this love, as I am doing here, on the love, the fascination and the admiration that I have for my sister and for everyone who is also completely doolally about Camellia sinensis, Cami or Sinensi, as I also affectionately call her, I get all sentimental, I get all misty-eyed, love-drunk, as well as deeply and obsessively evangelical about my sister's refinement and beauty. This morning, for example, whilst planning what I wanted to say here, Latif, the postman, passed by the window, and knowing he was partial to a brew, I poured him a cup of this elixir, this pu'er, which he had delivered to me the week before, desiring that he too desire, as well as momentarily revere, my sister, which he found somewhat amusing as well as a little strange. Sorry, but also not sorry, I say to all the people that I frequently cajole into experiencing a sip or two of Sister Tea with me, or inadvertently bore with my endless odes to her never-ending delights. For in the realm of addictions, of which I have a few, my wholly codependent, obsessive, and also very tender relationship with tea, apart from the occasional, over-caffeinated flurry of anxiety, get it, from, having drunk too much of it, is perhaps the most healthy and soul-enriching addiction that I am in the grip of. If I am to die on any metaphorical or literal hill out there, let it be on the mist-laden slopes of a tea garden high in the mountains of Yunnan province with a delicate Jing de Zhen porcelain teacup like this one in hand and the serene smile of someone who has tasted heaven in a single steep. I have even rebranded my therapy website in the past year in homage to my sister, and now incorporate her into all of my in-person therapy sessions as a gently grounding background presence. Unlike other mindfulness exercises that a lot of clients find, in my experience, to be a little bit time wasty, even if it's good for them, because, hey Steve, I can do this at home with an app. Tea offers us a deeply shared sensorial and, I would say, relational connection, allowing us two human idiots with our yippity-yap minds and overused vocal cords to share in the embodied presence of this time-honored ritual, tasting, smelling, and observing together what it means to be alive here and now, experiencing the warmth, the layered aromas, and the intricate flavors of Sister Tea. Another thing which comes into play when my sister's around, which I had not realized until I spent a year tasting teas of every variety and dimension, is that tea is fairly psychoactive and can work as a powerful state shifter. Tea heads often talk about cha-chi, which is to say the energy or spirit of the tea itself, subtly altering our physical and emotional states, grounding or lifting us in a way that feels as much spiritual as it is physical. My ecstatic daily communion with tea often also involves, whether I'm by myself or with others, some consultation of the Yi Ching, this oracular magical text that has been consulted for thousands of years by peasants and kings alike when existentially befuddled or adrift. A text which clarifies, unsettles, and illuminates like no other in my experience. I've also started doing something on this channel here in Idiotville that I call Tea and Yi, where I bring a question that is worrying, gnawing at, or perplexing my head or heart, and then you bring something similar. And then we sit with Sister Tea and the Yi in a comfortable and reflective discussion with the intention of becoming together a little more illuminated or at peace with the world and ourselves. I believe that this Tea and Yi experience is the closest I've ever come to achieving what I think therapy, which literally and etymologically means to attend to another, to serve another, to take care of another and ourselves, should really be about, as opposed to the somewhat distant, formal, and largely transactional model it so often now resembles. This is also why, when I listen to one of my favorite songs about therapy by Loudon Wainwright III called Therapy, I usually change the last line of each verse to make it more applicable to my values and observances. I wonder why you love me, baby. I hardly love myself at all. I think we're both a little crazy. We need some delicious tea, that's all. We do. We need some delicious tea, that's all. And perhaps, because I think we're all a little crazy here in, human idiotville, actually, a colossal level of crazy. Every single one of us, especially those who think they're not. I'm not me crazy, no. Is it any wonder then that tea feels like like such a constant balm for our bewildered souls? So bless you, my dear, beloved sister, and thank you. Cheers.
I wonder why you love me, baby. I hardly love myself at all. I think we're both a little crazy. We need some time.